Welcome to this in-depth briefing on the escalating Ukraine-Russia conflict as of mid-October 2025. Over the past week, Ukraine has faced a massive barrage of missile and drone strikes launched by Russian forces, focusing heavily on critical energy infrastructure, severely impacting civilian life and regional stability. Meanwhile, Kyiv has retaliated with its own missile and drone strikes deep into Russian territory, signaling a dangerous cycle of escalation. Let's unpack these developments step by step, analyze their implications, and understand how regional and global actors are responding. On October 15th and 16th, 2025, Russia launched one of the most extensive missile and drone campaigns against Ukraine to date. Over 300 attack drones and 37 ballistic missiles targeted multiple Ukrainian cities, including Kharkiv, Poltava, Sumy, Vinnytsia, and Chernihiv. The campaign began in the early hours with MiG-31 bombers, launching from various Russian airbases. The strikes didn't just hit military targets, they deliberately focused on energy grids and power distribution centers aimed at crippling Ukraine's electrical infrastructure as winter approaches. President Volodymyr Zelensky described the attacks as cynical and calculated, emphasizing that these strikes aim to plunge Ukraine into darkness and disrupt heating and electricity supplies to millions amid harsh winter conditions. More than 1 million households and businesses suffered power outages, with thousands left without heat, water, or electricity. Damage to residential areas caused injuries, and civilians experience. In response, Kyiv escalated by launching a series of missile and drone attacks into Russian border territories. These operations are notably significant, marking the first non-nuclear retaliatory airstrikes in the ongoing conflict. Using a mix of guided missiles and unmanned aerial systems, Ukrainian forces targeted military installations and infrastructure within Russia, as a message that aggression will be met with force. The continued tit-for-tat strikes raise the stakes in this already protracted war and hint at a possible intensification or widening of conflict zones. The strikes have not only destroyed energy capabilities, but also caused widespread blackouts, halting metro services and forcing residents to queue for water and warmth. Ukrainians face long nights without heating or electricity, confronting winter's looming chill with diminished resources. The psychological impact is profound, affecting millions. Images of darkened cities and crowded shelters underscore the human cost of this strategic assault on infrastructure. President Zelensky and Ukrainian officials have amplified calls for increased international aid, including advanced air defense systems, cruise missiles, and joint drone production agreements with allies like the United States. In Washington, diplomatic discussions are ongoing. Zelensky recently reached out to former U.S. President Donald Trump to advocate for the provision of Tomahawk cruise missiles, despite concerns in the U.S. administration about potential escalation. The need to strengthen Ukraine's defense capabilities is urgent to counteract Russia's sustained aerial campaign targeting civilian infrastructure. Russian forces have shifted from the carpet bombing tactics used in earlier years to more targeted operations focused on disabling key points in Ukraine's power grid oblast by oblast. This piecemeal approach seeks to overwhelm Ukrainian air defenses with waves of drones and sophisticated missiles, aiming to create localized blackouts and disrupt logistics and energy supplies methodically. Ukrainian air defenses have intercepted a significant number of incoming drones and missiles, but the sheer volume continues to challenge their capabilities. These recent attacks represent a dangerous escalation with risks of expanding the conflict beyond Ukraine's borders. The use of drones and missile strikes deep into Russian space changes the conflict dynamics and challenges existing diplomatic frameworks. Global powers are watching closely, balancing between supporting Ukraine, avoiding wider war, and managing their own strategic interests. The cycle of strikes and counterstrikes underscores the urgent need for diplomatic efforts alongside military support to prevent further deterioration. This phase of the Ukraine-Russia war highlights the vulnerability of critical infrastructure in modern conflict and the catastrophic humanitarian consequences that follow. Ukraine's resilience and push for international assistance reveal a determined effort to withstand and respond to these calculated attacks. As the winter months approach, the stakes grow higher, not just in military terms, but in human survival and geopolitical stability. I can help you drill down into specific aspects, such as the technological warfare involved, the humanitarian toll, or the international diplomatic reactions. Would you prefer a follow-up script focused on one of these angles? Also, let me know if you want me to maintain a neutral tone or add more analytic commentary for your channel's style.